Okay, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, like, am I introing? Are you introing?
Well, you can intro yourself for once. Go on then. This content is brought to you in association with my buddies over at Jam Cards UK. You can find the links to the eBay store and the Facebook page in the description.
Yeah, what is up YouTube? Welcome to Rufioh. It's me, JamieTheKid00, your favourite washed up Yugituber. And today I've been wrangled into bringing you guys a deck list of whatever this is, Tin Can, I was about to say Eldritch.
Tin Can Turbo.
Yeah, Tin Can Turbo. Kozmo Dogmatika. Really big shout out before we get into this because I'll reference it a ton. This is something I put together about 2 seconds before the locals just for something fun instead of the invoked version because I really like the Dogmatika package but I wanted to play something silly. If you head over to, I believe, Asian Persuasion 2008's channel, I think that's the full name of it. He's been playing Kozmo for ages. He's the absolute Kozmo GOAT. He had a list that I basically net decked based on what I could get in 5 minutes here at the locals and what I had in my boxes. So if you want the actual, like, really well thought out list, check that out. But for the quick me malicious version that you can kind of work with, that's what this is for.
Yeah, okay.
Anything you want to say on your own channel, Rufioh, before we get into the profile?
I suppose you should shout out the channel sponsors, Jam Cards UK.
We're going to open with that.
Yeah, we have to.
I thought you insert
they did lend you a few cards, so that's relevant.
That's relevant. A couple. I mean, no, these were bought this time, so it was fine. Yeah, big shout outs to Jam Cards, as always. They're the whole reason I've been able to stay relevant in the, relevant in inverted commas, playable in the game, because genuinely, like, the game is spiraling away from me, and I can't afford all these cards anymore.
Bringing people in.
I'm tired.
Well, look.
And of course, enormous shout out to Market Management Locals for hosting us.
Of course. And if you do want to check out the channel sponsors, Jam Cards UK, you just go Rufioh 15% off on their eBay store. Link in the description, but that's enough of that nonsense. Let's get stuck in for what we're here for. Let's get in.
So, it's been a while since I've done this. I'm a little bit rusty. So, opening up with 3 copies of Kozmo Tin Can, because, say it with me, folks, no Tin Can, no party. Big shout outs to Henman. This guy is your whole, I guess, engine starter, if that's what you want to call it. Like, your whole idea is that your hand is really going to be quite subpar in terms of advantage. If you're not just normal summoning this, paying your 5 in the end phase, alongside whatever else you can do with the board. The only trouble is you really want to be summoning this off of things like E-Telly or 1-for-1 for bonus points, because yes, you want to have this on the board, but you also want to be able to do your Dogmatika stuff, and you really struggle to do both if you don't have a way to accelerate this onto the field rather than just normal summoning it.
Yep.
Of course, I'm speaking purely from a going first perspective. Then we play all the other pilots, and it really pains me to play these at one-offs, but we now exist in a format where the combos really don't exist anymore, so you're playing them largely as utility pieces, it feels weird to me. So you're playing 1 Kozmo Strawman, 1 Farm Girl, and 1 Sword Troopers. Now, these both come up for their very obvious reasons. This is pulling ones out of the graveyard, so it's really nice as a follow-up for Tin Can. And of course, Strawman is really good for the longevity of the deck. You can do some cute things where you go, like, if you open a pilot and a Dark Destroyer, you can normal summon the pilot, banish it, summon Dark Destroyer pop itself, Strawman the Dark Destroyer back, and then you have 2 monsters to make Verte Anaconda. If you don't think your opponent has hand traps, or like that Verte Anaconda can get stopped, and then you can go into your Dogmatika plays. So there's cute stuff you can do with it, but it's nowhere near as big. And of course, you have to play the obligatory Farm Girl, just because the OTK is still so strong. Because of the fact that if you like suddenly just bang down a Strawman and you have a Dark Destroyer in hand, you can largely just win the game off of that.
Yep.
So it's insane. So you play all 3 of these as utility targets, and you'll draw them more frequently than you want to, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Really.
Yep.
Then finally we are playing the 1 Wicked Witch. I didn't ever summon this, especially because I played against 2 Sword Soul matchups today. And when you have to try to float through a, what's its name, Protoss?
Yeah.
When it's called Dark.
Kinda good.
Yeah, you sadly can't do anything with this, which is really sad. But it's by the by. This was there as that theoretical piece to pull out and say, stop, I'm not dying right now, I'm just paying a K. And it was meant to be that extra pilot name, but I never saw it. So 3-round locals, what were we going to do?
Yeah.
The card that I did see, which is always insane, and I absolutely love to bits, it's the whole reason I really like playing the deck aside from Dark Destroyer, is Dark Lady.
Dark Mummy.
Yeah, like, it's like you guys know the ancient JamieTheKid00 lore is that I love monsters that negate monster effects, like Volzar Dolka to name but one. This just does that exact same thing, but you can float through it, it tags out into the ships, you can do some really cool stuff, and it's just big enough that so many monsters really can't deal with it.
Yep.
Because I'm really old-fashioned, I love a simplified game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I love burning resources down, so that playing with 1 or 2 cards in a simplified game state where there aren't combos, and we're just value trading, and this is so valuable. And that's why I love her.
Sure.
And that is our pilots, like we're playing a really minimal pilot engine. I think this is the smallest you can get away with in 2021. Then for the ships, we're playing 2 copies of Slip Rider. I'm still like working out how I feel about the ship ratios, but 2 of this feels enough. I actually normal summoned this about 4 times today in 3 rounds, which is an uncomfortable number. But the amount of times where you will just have like plays where you special summon Ecclesia, do an Ecclesia search maybe the trap if everything else wasn't that relevant, or searching to like Maximus or something, and then you can tribute summon this over the Ecclesia, whereas especially good if Ecclesia got negated, like your Ecclesia gets impermanenced and you go, oh well, I don't need her to hang around for my Fleur anymore, you just bang this on top of her, take out a back row, and the fact that it floats into like a tin can for recursion, or floats into like this if you've got stuff elsewhere, like you'd be surprised how well this kind of sets things up. Then the 1 Forerunner, I mean, it's really nice if you think you're heading towards time quite rapidly to recoup power, life points. It's that good 3rd target for tin can, all that good sort of stuff, but it's largely in there as filler. Then of course, no Kozmo list would be complete without the 3 Dark Destroyers. Of course, still super happy this came back to 3 a good few years ago. Heart and soul of the deck, what more do I need to say? The amount of different things you can do with this in terms of interrupts, in terms of popping your own cards to combo off is the whole reason I find this engine fun, and I think the whole reason a lot of people find this engine fun.
This card's still so good.
Yeah,
still so good.
Absolutely. So it's really silly. The only problem is this locals is really dominated by Sword Soul. So the fact that Sword Soul play that level 10 guy who just says, nah, this is kind of irrelevant, in terms of the fact that it not only avoids, it doesn't target, but it also banishes, means that it makes this deck immensely hard to play into Sword Soul unless you play enormous amounts of ways to just stop Sword Soul, like period, from even playing Yu-Gi-Oh, which was the whole way I built my side deck. But that's the only thing that makes this depressing.
I think our locals are a bit of an anomaly anyway. You can't take too much of it. You're playing it like a standard locals, it's probably fine.
I genuinely think that this deck actually punches well above its weight in every other matchup. It's just that non-targeting effects are absolutely cracked.
Yeah.
It's really easy to predict and see coming and stop in Bird Up, but it's way harder to stop in Sword Soul, because you just summon Moye and you've lost. Then finally we play 1 Eclipser, because you're always just obliged to play it. You have cute interactions where if you like, if you do a combo play and then your tin can leaves you with this, you obviously send cards to the graveyard with tin can, and this makes you you can't be essentially stopped by evenly matched, which there's quite a lot of. This will stop traps.
Yeah.
So that's a cute interaction which kind of comes up.
It's good to know.
That's the full Kozmo monster engine. It's pretty anemic, like it doesn't play very much, but I think you have to keep it fairly streamlined because the cards are inherently bad on their own.
Yeah.
Which pains me to say because I miss playing like just the pure deck. Then for the Dogmatika stuff, everyone's super bored of this engine, but 3 Ecclesia, you really want to draw the Nadir Servant, obviously, before you draw this, but seeing this is still undeniably an absolute powerhouse of a card because it gets you into 2 of these really good cards. It gets you into Fleur de Lis, which I actually never summoned today because I played going first a lot, and we play 3 punishment in this list, so I actually search punishment a lot more, but this comes up. It's cute because you can special summon it alongside an Almiraj as well and make Verte. But then this guy we summoned a ton, so you notice by the fact that we play this deck, like you're not summoning anything from the extra deck at all apart from like 1 or 2 cards which are important. So Maximus comes into its own, and round 1 I play against Sword Soul, I make my board, I go Maximus, and he's playing cards into it. He's playing the Entis and the Nova and the Mechaba.
Sometimes lucky.
Yeah, like I've been playing this in Invoked for a month or so, and it's never, like there's never been important cards, or there's maybe been an Entis, or I can at least see it coming. But I did not expect a Sword Soul deck to have the space to do that, and that really caught me off guard, and I lost to it. But that's the thing, like Maximus is just so good in a deck that needs tempo swing cards. The fact that you have a card that can pop to, can set up a schism, can set up this. Like, it has so much versatility. I love it to pieces. I really love this card. And then otherwise, to talk about a boring engine, which really makes this deck come alive, we are playing, of course, the Destiny Era Phoenix Enforcer package, which we'll get to a little later on.
Advantage.engine.
Advantage.engine, and I don't know if you remember, we play a deck which loves having cards blown up.
Yep.
And DPE blows up cards. So you have this and DPE blows it up, and you get a Dark Lady as well, so you get more and more responses. Like, say you summoned this, interrupted something, then you go DPE, destroy this, interrupt something else, you summon Dark Lady out. Like, the versatility comes up.
Yeah.
Never did it, but in theory, really good. And DPE is just good on its own. Now, going through the spell cards, Imperial Order, eat your heart out. 1 for 1, because no tin can, no party. 2 emergency teleports, because say it with me, folks, no tin can, no party. No tin can, you don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! So those are why they're in there. 3 copies of Kozmo Town, because if you're not partying, you're not playing Cosmos, you're playing Dogmatika Turbo. And you're putting all the Cosmos back until a better time for you to search them back out. Genuinely, that's a lot of the time what I found that this card was more optimal to do. Apart from the fact that you then get into like attrition grind games, where like maybe you do establish a Cosmo, it blows up, and you can get a Slip Rider out and you can start using this engine, so you can like interact with it with this. Or you can interact with it with DPE, but largely I used it just to filter the Cosmos out of my hand if the Cosmo component was unplayable.
Yeah.
3 Nadir Servants, they speak for themselves. They can send Entis, which I didn't actually do this, but in theory it can come up, so I'm actually going to read the card real quick. Entis can target 1 card on the field and destroy it, so it can destroy any of your Cosmos, it can destroy your Kozmo Town. So this card sets up a ton of stuff. Because of the fact that it sends, if you want to, like, you can send an Entis, add a Maximus, pop this with the Entis, summon the Maximus, set up whatever the hell you want. That Maximus can like send Titaniclad to get you through to your Ecclesia combo and do it that way around. And then you still get to search your tin can and normal summon the tin can because you had the Entis engraved to banish for the Ecclesia. And it, like, the little interactions that this has with the Kozmo engine are really cute.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm kind of going on a bit too
you're
long,
good.
but Fusion Destinies, it's a free boss monster in a deck that's inconsistent.
Yeah.
Whoops. Like, card
DPE
is really good.
kinda good.
Yeah, and you draw 2 cards. The only problem is, you want, of course, the free draws off of, I've lost him, but Celestial.
Yeah.
You have so many good cards that you keep in hand that this deck is actually really bad for Celestial. So maybe the Malicious Engine is actually better.
Yeah.
But who knows? Like,
You can always play with that and figure it out.
yeah, it's much of a muchness, but like the Celestial actually was kind of hard for me to activate. Those are spells. Traps. 1 Cosmojo.
Yep.
You're searching it when you want it. It's your 1 card to deal with mine, which didn't come up. Thanks, Pibbs. But yeah, it's just in there as like a cute trap card. But it comes around. The 1 Shadol Schism. This is what I don't see a lot of people playing. But I'm a slave to Shadols, and I think that Winder is just too good to turn down. So I still think this is really important to play. It's only 1 card. I don't play any main deck Shadols. Yes, I did brick draw it, but you're playing such a big deck. I think this is 47 cards. I've not really counted. 47 or 49. You're going to avoid this.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. But it's just, in my opinion, it's so important. It's the reason why I won a lot of singular games. We then played 2 Torrential Tribute. I'm really not sure how I feel about this. Like, it's a blowout when your opponent's going off, but there's so many decks with like cards that can poke your back row long before you really want to use them. But on the flip side, every time I did activate this today, it was actually really good. So, I hate this phrase, but player preference. I don't think it's mathematically optimal, but I think that a lot of people will just run into it because they don't know it exists anymore.
Yeah, everyone doesn't respect it.
Yeah, and again, you're going to establish Dark Destroyers and Forerunners, you're going to blow them up, you're going to summon Dark Lady, and you're going to have a Dark Lady after you've cleared your opponent's board for your opponent to then play into. So, it's important in that regard.
Yep.
Something which was really nice, I really enjoyed, is 3 copies of Dogmatika Punishment, because you do not care about being locked out of the extra deck for multiple turns.
Yep.
However, the fact that you're playing a 1 card, 2 card out is really big for a deck that struggles with card advantage.
It's kind of cute.
Yeah, so it's nice in that regard. And then we're playing 3 copies of Back to the Front. Now, I love this card. I actually found myself really, really enjoying it, because it's Interruption City, but it is win more. So if you've already established like a Dark Destroyer, that's great. And this card becomes absolutely obscene. But chances are, if you establish Dark Destroyer, you probably already are in a winning game state. But you probably sent this off of Tin Can, obviously, because otherwise it would have banished itself when it died. But like, this comes up a lot, and when you notice in the side that we're playing the Artifact package, it's really good at recurring Scythe over and over and over again. So the traps are just good traps trap lineup, I think.
Yeah.
For the extra deck, this is the most malleable area of cards in the entire deck. You can change anything in here, and this was made purely out of stuff I had in a deck box. I would change like tons of this in a heartbeat. We'll start with the mandatory things. Phoenix Enforcer, obviously, you're playing the DPE package. Like, I don't need to go into this, you've heard about this in like hundreds of deck profiles. We'll keep it like undercards. Then we're playing way more Shadows than we really should, because that was what I had in my deck box. This lineup should be minimal. So I played 2 Winder, 2 App Cologne, a Sheki Naga, and a Construct. You can take out one of this, and one of this. I still think this is really important, because there are a lot of good light cards in the game that you really want to clear, and occasionally you have situations where you'll only have App Clone in the graveyard and a few lights. So this comes up. It really, really does as a good blocker, and sending lights off of Schism is really, really good. Otherwise, I just played lots because I had them, and they were the most advantageous cards because of the ability to search and manipulate Schism, and then pick them back up when you send them off of maxes.
Yep.
And this is 26, which comes up. You need something bigger than 25 for this. Normally, a lot of people have been playing like 5-headed dragon or whatever it is. You need something big. Then I'll pile this up. Played 1 copy of this. This searches Super Poly in theory, but I couldn't get any Super Polys before the event, so it's cute in that regard because you can send it off of Maximus, and you search Super Poly for a follow-up and make Starving Venom later on. But it didn't happen today. We played 3 Entis because, of course, you played 3 Entis in a deck that's sending cards to the graveyard.
Yeah.
1 Titanic Lad, there should be 2 of this in here. End of. And then otherwise, you do actually play relevant link monsters. You play an Almiraj for when you really need to like turn a Tin Can or a Sword Troopers or a Straw Man into an extra monster to summon Ecclesia and go off that way. Otherwise, it's irrelevant. Phoenix for when they come up, and then most importantly, Averte Anaconda, which is a really weird feeling card in this deck because sometimes you just bang it out and you activate it, knowing your opponent is probably going to negate, and you just bait the negate because then you're going to special summon Ecclesia and go off that way.
Yep.
So it feels weird to play it that way. You don't normally do side decks, do you, or do you?
You can do if there's anything relevant. Doesn't need to be super detailed.
Yeah, like this is the only deck where this is relevant. This was a weird situation, but I had more cards on the side that I wanted to play, so I played 1 Lancia, 1 Scythe, and then the 3 Sanctums, because you need ways to just tell your opponent they're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
And you need 1 card ways of telling your opponent they're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Scythe comes up because you can blow it up with Slip Rider, so it's really cute in this list. Imperial Order, because again, you need more ways to tell your opponent they're just not going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Mine sucks. Occasionally you're going to go second into board builders, and you need a 1-card way of doing it. The biggest thing is when picking cards in this deck, you need it to be a single self-sufficient card. If it needs help, it's probably not going to be good. I really love Forbidden Droplet and cards like that, but it's just not good enough because the deck is so poor at optimizing its advantage in Kozmo itself until it's going, and if you're going, you're winning. But that, I think, is everything I had to go through. Any questions from you, the humble audience?
No.
Ooh, good.
No, I think you covered everything.
This feels a bit weird now because we've done all the shout-outs at the start of the video. So,
Yeah, okay, well, that's fine.
Big ups,
Save some time in the end.
cards. Big ups, Mana Screw locals. Any other normal things that you do?
No, just a big thank you to you for taking the time to do a profile. I know you're a little bit reluctant, a little bit tired, a little bit of a rough
It's
locals.
more right. Well, yeah, it was a 1-2 locals that really felt like it was going to be a 0-3. But it was also because, like, this is just a shameless net deck. Like, please do check out Asian Persuasion. He's the absolute Kozmo goat. But I hope this has given you a little bit of kind of something to think about and how you can change and play with the deck, because that's the only thing I don't think he went into, which is what I tried to focus on. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll let you close us out, Rufioh.
Indeed. Once again, thank you very much for taking time to do the profile. Really appreciate it. Guys, if you haven't already, you most definitely hit subscribe. And of course, go check out Jamie's legacy content.
Yeah,
legacy
YouTuber.
content, JamieTheKid00. Thanks again for coming along. I'll see you in the next one.
Pleasure.